We're with Assemblywoman Pamela Lampitt in her office in Voorhees. Thank you very much for speaking with Blue Jersey. You were recently named to chair a new committee on women and children's health. Why a new committee, and what are your goals for this legislative session with that committee?
Well, I think it was very responsible and very enlightening of the Speaker and the Majority Leader to look at today's issues, to look at the issues that surround the people of New Jersey and know the fact that we needed to focus on women and children. Women make up a significant amount of our population. You add children into that, we certainly outnumber the single facet of men in the state of New Jersey. And there are significant issues that just focus on women and children. And because of that, we're now going to give them a forum and a mechanism to be able to enlighten and try and hopefully drive good policy that can help to support a quality of life for women and children in New Jersey.
What are some of the specific initiatives that you intend to push through the legislature this session?
Well, I'm actually going to focus initially on equitable pay for women. It's a very large issue, as you know. President Obama spoke about it the other day, certainly honoring the third anniversary of the Ledbetter. Our first bill is actually going to be a resolution to encourage the federal government to continue to pass that piece of legislation. Here in New Jersey, women on the dollar only make 77 cents to the men, where over 50% of the women are going off to our colleges. We're not giving them the hope that there is a bright future for them to go out and be able to be self-sustaining for themselves. And we need to change all of that, and we're going to focus on the idea of equitable pay. A day earned by a woman is the same as a day earned by a man.
In last year's session, there was a lot of controversy about women's health. Do you expect to tackle that again this session? And if so, how will you work with the governor to get something passed?
Well, that's a very good question, and very apropos for today when Planned Parenthood is being cut severely by the Susan B. Corman Association. And you know, it's not about politics, it's about reproductive health, and it's about quality of health for women. And I don't know that we're going to approach it from the same vantage point as we did the last time. I think when you go out there and you say we need $7.5 million for women, I think what we need to do is break it down a little bit further. What does it mean for good reproductive health? What does it mean for a baby to be born at a healthy birth rate? What do we need to do for those sort of things? And maybe, you know, chip away at it about the legislation that's necessary to ensure the fact that women are healthy and they can stay healthy. I think another vantage point is actually thinking about that very aspect of women being healthy. You know, on one side, I've been talking a lot about paid sick time and curbing sick time pay. But in this situation with women and children, we're going to talk about paid sick time. We're going to talk about women who go off to work sick every day, because if they don't, they're not going to get a paycheck. And we know that if women go off to work sick every day, then they're never going to get healthy. They're never going to have this opportunity to rest their body, to recover themselves, to be there for their family, to provide for their family. There are many private agencies that do not provide paid sick time, and I think that that's a very lofty issue that we need to work on.
Okay. Changing the topic a little bit, tomorrow the Assembly Judiciary Committee will hold hearings on A1, the Marriage Equality and Religious Exemptions Act. Right. What's your position on marriage equality, and do you think it has enough votes to pass the Assembly?
Well, I am hoping that my fellow Democrats and the Republicans across the aisle will think on their own merits and their own morals and their own values to vote positively for this piece of legislation. You know, I shared a story today with my staff, something that just happened today, where I have a friends, good friends, very good friends, who I went to their civil union ceremony, and it was a lovely day. It was really two lovely brides. It really was. It was a wonderful day, and they're being denied a mortgage because they had to file individually, because the federal government can't look at them as two people who are in love and are committed towards each other, and they want to commit towards buying a home here in New Jersey, and that's just not right.
State education policy is in the forefront of the news. How should the state proceed with charter schools? Well, I believe that the charter schools have a purpose, and I think that the charter schools
as funding is very tight, my opinion is that we should focus on the school districts that are low performing or underperforming, and this is where we should provide the extra resources that are available as it pertains towards charter schools, and allow the school districts to embrace the charter schools. Typically those are the urban districts, and in those urban districts many of them have received the continual support and the continual funding to be able to branch out some of that funding to designate it for charter schools. So in the right place, charter schools are very positive.
Some charter schools are run by religious institutions. Do you see any church-state separation issues here?
Well, I believe it's where parents want to choose to send their children. If a parent wants to, everybody should have choices. I don't think it should be the sole choice. I think that there should be available options for people to send their children to a religious charter school or to a non-religious charter school. I do believe, though, that the charter schools should elevate some of their administrative standards on the levels of some of our public institutions, and would like to see some of those laws strengthened.
The Urban Hope Act has been criticized because one of the aspects of it is that it doesn't require open bidding like normal government contracts. Is that a concern?
It's a pilot program, and I believe because it's a pilot program, it's something that it gives us some linear focus about how they're doing things, does it work, and because it's in just a snapshot, we'll be able to look at that particular issue and then evaluate it.
Okay. Should taxpayers have a say as to whether charter schools are formed in their district?
That all depends. I don't necessarily. I think that that all depends. Look at where I live in Cherry Hill, and a charter school is supposed to be formed in Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill's funding for schools has been cut drastically. They cannot support having funding removed from their budget to be able to support a charter school. In which case, might be that the members of that community should have the ability to be able to vote for it. But again, I go back to the pertinent nature of a charter school, which is it should focus right now on the low and underperforming school districts.
Okay, switching topics, and this is not strictly a New Jersey issue, it's more a local issue, but it does impact Camden County. Mayor Redd and others have proposed a county-wide police force with the first precincts to be exclusively in Camden. Do you think other county municipalities will join in or should join in, or is home rule too big an issue to really have a good consolidation of the police?
I think this is one of those things that the initial county policing should establish itself, and then hold themselves to a high standard in terms of their deliverables and the quality of their deliverables. And they'll be based upon the merits about whether or not is Camden safer. Are they preventing crimes? And once they establish themselves, there might be opportunities for some of the surrounding districts to join into this community policing. I know it's a concern that policing in Camden is very different than policing in Voorhees, where we are right now. But I believe that they have to continue to monitor and evaluate and establish themselves into a credible police force, in which case people can then make their own decisions.
It's been about 2 years since the medical marijuana law was passed, but between Governor Christie's roadblock and the reluctance of communities to have these dispensaries in their areas, it's still not available. What should the legislature be doing to provide relief to the patients in need?
Well, I don't know that we've had it posed to us in that sort of fashion, and that's a very good question. We need to find a mechanism to be able to maybe procure ourselves marijuana, medical marijuana, to allow some sort of dispensary for these patients.
So kind of like a state store, the way they have liquor stores
exactly,
in Pennsylvania?
Exactly. Challenge us to do it differently. If we can't grow it and dispense it, then maybe we can just dispense it. But we do need to find something. Cancer is obviously and other life-threatening diseases that impact a quality of life for people. Unless you walk a day in their shoes, you have no idea.
Your colleague, Assemblyman Greenwald, has often advocated for changes in our property tax system.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree, and what specifically should be done?
Well, yes, he's advocated for a local purpose tax. I work in Pennsylvania, where many of the people that I work with have local purpose tax, and it is a creative idea, one that each municipality could adopt now if they really wanted to. I'm under the premise of the idea that many of our municipalities, the taxing entities, don't ever really have to talk to each other when they form our tax bill. And we should be forcing the hands of each one of the taxing entities that make up your final property tax bill, require them to meet and discuss and review. Because there are wants and there are needs. We might want a new fire truck, but we might need a new roof for a building. And so we might have to hold off having our wants and putting our needs first. But the only way to do that is to force all of these taxing entities to sit around the table. And it may be a carrot and stick approach. If they don't, then we will hold funding. We have to do something creative to stem the tide of property taxes. Putting the cap on property taxes, stem the tide ever so much, but that's not the panacea for property taxes, and we need to look for some other creative ways.
A state board has ruled that the anti-bullying law is an unfunded mandate and hence is not to be implemented. What should the legislature do here?
Well, I just met with the superintendent of schools in one of my districts, and I think it's the responsibility of the legislature to actually meet with your superintendents and meet with the guidance counselors and meet with the people that are being impacted by this particular law. And we have done that, and we have heard from them, and they have given us suggestions on modifications to the bill that could change how things are being recorded and change the intensity of the work that they have to do. Not change the purpose behind it. The purpose behind it is meaningful. The purpose behind it is necessary. They were doing this before. We just upped the ante in terms of the amount of work that they had to do and the amount of documentation and the amount of follow-through that they had to do. We can't give up on it because we can't give up on our kids. We have to think of another way to support the schools, modify the bill, and think of some other creative ways to look at how to find the real bullies in our school. I have a bill out there that I really do believe in. It's a Swiss-based program from Ole program that targets by utilizing an anonymous survey to evaluate the students. And basically they'll tell you who are the bullies, where they've been bullied, and what they have found through these surveys is that maybe there's 2 or 3 students in a school. And when you want to focus your financial support and your budgetary constraints and you're limited, you want to focus then on the 2 or 3 students that are doing the bullying. Makes sense to me. Typically they are the ones who are insecure. Typically maybe they're the ones who don't have the support at home that they need and the guidance that they need. And what this foundation and what this program has found is it's been very impactful. So those are the creative ways we have to look at trying to approach the bullying issue.
Assemblywoman Lampitt, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.